Kelvin wins 50-20 against Olivet, but this game was much closer than the score truly says it was. Besides a huge fourth quarter that gave Kelvin obviously the win, but the comfortability of a 30-point win because going into halftime, this was a 7-point lead for Kelvin. Even going into the fourth quarter, it was a 14-point lead for Kelvin. And you have to give Olivet a ton of credit because they got out to a truly fast start. And it truly starts with Charlie Grant to a touchdown, 35-yard pass to Wade Brashers to get a 7-point lead to truly start out this game. Now, Kelvin was able to respond quickly after that, but it was just kind of a back and forth fight since then, and it truly was a 1-yard touchdown run by Thomas Vaquero with about 44 seconds left to go in the half that truly kind of gave Kelvin the eventual lead, the lead that they wanted to, that lead that they would never give back. Because besides that, like, this was a really, really competitive game. And then after that, it was Nick Earls, Hayden Slegers. Then Olivet responds with one touchdown, but then it was just multiple touchdowns after that. So you do, like I said, you do have to give credit to Olivet for fighting in that first half. They did end up throwing one interception on the day, and it was a interception to Kelvin's Carson Schertstein. He's just a guy that continues to be the best defender for Kelvin, and I don't think it's even close. He's a guy that is right on the top of the list for tackles every single week. He continues to make plays. He had a forced fumble as well. Like, he's a guy for this Kelvin defense that just continues to fly around. He's an impact guy. He's a guy that continues to be involved. He's just a baller, man. Carson is a great player. It's really fun to watch him play, and I think he's going to continue to do that in these next couple of games. And if you're a Kelvin player, if you're a Kelvin fan, it has to be really fun to watch him play. And he's only a sophomore. He's going to have a couple more years left, hopefully, in the Kelvin uniform. Hopefully, he'll be able to continue to ball out because I think he's going to continue to get better, especially on the defensive side of the ball. But outside of the defense, I thought that Kelvin offensively performed pretty well. Thomas Vaquero could have been a little bit better, especially when it comes to completion percentage, but didn't have any turnovers, 160 yards, one touchdown. Hayden Slegers was kind of the main guy running the ball. Nick Earls was there as well. 22 carries, 84 yards. Hayden Slegers, 93 yards, was kind of the big play kind of back for Kelvin in this game. Hunter Hogan didn't have a ton of carries in this game, which is a little bit surprising. But even when he got the ball, he was still able to make plays. Still had 59 yards on 5 attempts. This was just a lot of giving up a lot of yards on the ground for Olivet. Olivet gave up 280 yards on the ground, gave up 160 yards through the air. I've talked about this Olivet defense of how they struggled giving up a lot of points, giving up a lot of yards. This Kelvin offense was able to do that. I thought that they would be able to do that. I thought they would be able to run the ball pretty effectively. They did 6.1 yards on average, which is a great average. Not great defensively, obviously, but Olivet was able to at least score a little bit, and I thought that Olivet would be able to score a little bit because I think that is their best part of the team is the offense, is you have a guy in Charlie Grant that I think is really good. 2 touchdowns. I did say he had 1 interception, 223 yards. You have a guy in Daniel Avila as well, 81 yards, 1 touchdown. They have a couple of quarterbacks in this roster that I think are going to be impactful guys for this team. And you have a couple of wide receivers, Rayshawn Mercer, Noah Bates, Wade Brashers. I did mention him early on. Caleb Rudd. A couple other guys, Jalen Johnson. I think they have wide receivers, and I think they have an offense. I just feel like this team is really young, really inexperienced. This is going to be a team that is going to continue to get more experience as time goes on. I think defensively is where they need to continue to get better, continue to be better at communicating, stuff like that. It's been a little bit of a rough stretch for Olivet, but it's one of those things that if you continue to get better, continue to have better communication, continue to improve every single week, I think this Olivet team is doing that, and I think that's obviously a really great sign for them. But it was just a really great win for Kelvin overall. Like I said, the second half was truly where Kelvin was able to expand their lead. That fourth quarter is a 22-6 fourth quarter. That's really the nail in the coffin for this Olivet team is that Kelvin was kind of struggling, scoring a little bit, like getting their lead out quite a bit. Fourth quarter, that completely changed, and it completely changed with Hayden Slegers. Nick Earls, like I mentioned before, 3 touchdowns. Hayden had 2 touchdowns. Kelvin had 6 touchdowns on the ground, which is exactly what this Kelvin team wants to do. Is this Kelvin team wants to run the football, this Kelvin team wants to play physical, and they were able to do that in this game. And even if that's how they want to do it, they still have guys that they can throw the ball to. Hunter Hogan, I mentioned, didn't get a ton of carries, had 5 receptions, 73 yards. Continues to be a guy involved. Luke Mishahusian, 4 receptions, 47 yards, the 1 touchdown of the game. McCoy Baxter, 1 reception, 18 yards. Jude Klunder, 2 receptions, 10 yards. Carter Bilesma, 1 reception, 7 yards. Seth Anderson, 2 receptions, 5 yards. Not a ton of receptions, not a ton of yards individually, but like they have guys that they can get the ball to, which is obviously going to be really impactful for them. And then also this defense, I talked about Carson, but you have to also talk about Caden Balduke. 2 sacks on the day. Caden McGully, 1 sack on the day. Kelvin in this game had 4 total sacks, one of them by Marcus Breeker. 4 total sacks on the day. You can obviously see that they were able to get into the backfield. And if you look at comparatively to that to Olivet, Olivet only had 2 sacks on the day, one by Carlton Freeman, the other one by Dontrell Thomas. They did have a forced fumble and a fumble recovery on the day as well by Christopher Ballman. So they were able to do a little bit of that, but if you just look at comparatively to how the defense has performed, how the offense has performed, you can truly why you see this Kelvin team overall win by 30 is because statistically, player performance, how they were able to step up, you could kind of see that this Kelvin team was wearing on this Olivet defense throughout this game, and when it finally got to the fourth quarter, it was almost like it finally broke. And I feel like that's one of the biggest frustrations for a lot of teams, especially going up against a team like Kelvin, is when they run the ball so effectively, when they're so physical, it gets to a point where the defense just finally kind of breaks, and when it breaks, everything truly opens, and that's exactly what happened in this fourth quarter against this Olivet team. But good win for Kelvin. Obviously, they continue to have a pretty good year. I think if you're Kelvin, you have to be very thrilled with how the year's been. You're 6-2, 3-2 on the conference play. Now, obviously, Kelvin has a couple of tough matchups coming up. They have the rivalry against Hope, and they have against their game against Albion. There's a real possibility that they win at least one more of those games. And if they do, I think that would be a pretty good season for Kelvin. This was a great second season so far. I think they're going to continue to get better. I think they're going to continue to evolve. I think they've done that throughout the season. They beat the teams that they should be, and they're going to be a team that's going to be in the MIAA for a while. And I think this is truly kind of a lot of these main kind of guys really contribute to this team. And you have to truly give credit to guys like Carson, Hunter Hogan. You have to give credit to kind of those guys, but then you have to give credit to the other guys that have been stepping up, like Luke Mishahusian. You have to give credit to him. You have to give credit to Thomas Vaquero. There's guys that have been stepping up consistently throughout the season. That's important when you want to have a good season. That's exactly what Kelvin has done. They're not completely done yet. They got 2 more games. We'll see exactly what they do against those teams. I would obviously talk about their games. But yeah, if you like this recap, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, comment, all that kind of stuff. I'll obviously talk more about Kelvin and Olivet in the future. And thank you for tuning into this recap.